I'm just trying to make sure one of the thorns is in the right place.
Does it feel okay?
It feels fine now.
Great, wonderful.
Okay, born ready. Welcome to the show, everyone. How's everyone doing? Sorry.
While it's Ramadan, I was thirsty, but I'm not anymore. I think I put on weight.
Oh, were you fasting today?
Yeah, every day.
Nice. And I mean, I'm glad you've come here with us to, obviously, instead of having dinner with everyone.
It's helping me to not eat too much.
That's good. That's good. So what's the update on the market?
We've really haven't moved much on the canopies. We've got an issue where we've had a contractor disappear. We're getting all sorts of rumours.
Well, that's just the people who are meant to be doing the woodwork on the canopies at the front, not the main contractor, the person or the company that had been subcontracted to do the woodwork at the front. The rumour has it they've gone bankrupt.
Oh, okay. So we've got woodwork issues and some canopy collisions going on.
It's all part of the same thing because that whole assembly of the canopy requires, but I don't think it requires any real specialists. Some people that are half trained in something. So it's made quite simple. It just needs ownership of somebody to go in and do the right thing.
Yeah.
So what it does when things are like that and people don't work and things are half done, it makes, especially when you're at the front of the market, that's the picture what people sees.
First thing.
Half finished.
Yeah.
Boarded up
Boarded
thing.
up, yeah.
I mean that
People might think it's closed.
It's like some sort of apocalyptic film, you know. All it needs is the rolling weeds and the newspapers going on. It's a wild dog.
It's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world. That's what the council has driven that market to.
That's what I keep saying.
It's crazy. It's true. I'm taking some of that from you. But the thing is, it shouldn't be that way. And that is the first thing that they see. And it's a brand new canopy, and it should be done. It's all wood design.
Yeah.
So they took an idea on the architectural side of it. Great. I can't knock them on that.
Yeah.
But finish it. So we're hearing it might be finished maybe end of March.
Well, they've got to find the subcontractors first to do the job.
Right.
So we're going to have to send an email to try and nail them, and I'm going to need if I do it, I'm going to need the best brains to help me, because with procurement and subbies and contracts, I'm a bit out of my depth. But something obviously isn't right.
It's a mess.
There's got to be a contract with a completion date, a contract with Conway, the main contractor, and a penalty clause if they don't deliver, something to push them. If they've fallen out with the subby, they've got to get another one, even if it leaves them out of pocket.
I mean, that's only fair. It seems like you're actually happy with the infrastructure that should be developed here, but the execution's been a bit shoddy.
It's a disgrace because it's Ramzan, and Ramzan is one of the busiest months in the year for the market. Because people cook special dinners, they do like special fruit salads. It's just appalling how the council treats the traders and treats the people of Newham.
I mean, we had the barriers go up before Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Way before.
And
Way
now
before
during
Christmas.
one of their busiest months.
I mean, come on.
They messed up Christmas.
Yeah.
So this chaos is going in the most peak time of trade.
So Christmas, Ramadan, what's next? Diwali
Easter.
and Chinese New Year.
And, I mean, people need to be looking at that and thinking that should be a red flag.
Yeah, it is.
Red flag of incompetence. Where is that good growth money going to?
Mm.
We have to ask these questions. Somebody
£7
needs to be
million.
honest. I mean, the thing is, I think the market traders, to all their credit, are going to communicate with Ami Gamaga, which is the chief exec.
Yeah.
And then you've got what's his name?
Paul
Paul Kitson,
Yes.
who's one of the executives, isn't he? Corporate executive. So that's going to go out. So we're hoping that they will come back, but I can't see a lot of that happening because it's like I've gone to a hell of a lot of council forums over the years.
Right.
And it's a laughing matter.
Should get a medal for that.
But I should, because the problem, once you've gone to enough of them over the years, you see that it's just a massive echo chamber.
You're starting to see the pattern.
The pattern's there. And
Paulie?
I was going to say, I think it will get done in the end, but what's so
In the end.
infuriating is that we're going to have to push and shove, and the traders as well, to get it done, and it really shouldn't be necessary.
No.
you know.
No.
We're only asking for what's been promised,
Yeah.
not for asking for anything new.
Yeah.
I mean, as a landlord,
Yeah.
they're obligated to do these things, but they're obligated also to work with whoever their landlord they're leasing to, their tenants.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And
You would
that's
think
what-
it would be more collaborative.
More collaborative.
Just out of like productivity, just to be efficient. No like airs or graces because they're wholesome people or anything,
Yeah.
but just to be efficient, you would think.
Well, we know that they failed on the domestic side of being good landlords. They've received their C4, C6, whatever it is, ratings.
Oh,
which was-
really? They got a
which
good landlord award.
No, they didn't get a good landlord award. They got the worst landlord.
Oh,
The
right.
councils condemned
Okay.
the housing
They got
department.
the worst
Okay.
landlord. That's
I'm not gonna lie, that
rating
makes
is
more sense.
the one. It's the worst landlord, and I think they came sixth.
Did
or
the
something.
chair of housing have to resign?
Really?
or
Yeah.
something?
But it's
All
got
of
moved.
UK?
Or was
Got moved.
forced to resign?
So it's got the worst. Well, I know in London, they've got the worst
Oh, right, in
landlord
London.
rating going. Now that's shameful when we're living between Redbridge and Popular, you know, and
Tower Hamlets.
Tower Hamlets. And Tower Hamlets got a massive, you know,
They got massive issues.
you know, and they've got hope, but yet they are coping.
Mm.
But they try. Their mayor does work with the people. Here, they just don't work with the people. It's so disenfranchised for who they're supposed to represent. So they're not the voice of the people. They don't represent the voice of the people in any shape or form.
But can I come up with a couple of bits of good news? Or
Yes,
are
yeah,
you
you
going
should,
to
you
come
should,
up with
yeah.
a-
Go on, Paulie.
Good news, good news. Come
Well,
on.
it's half a bit of good news, which is that for the first time, the council had a prayer area
Mhm.
on the first day of Ramadan.
Oh, that's cute.
Good.
The bad news is the way they did it. They had two prayer mats down, and they kind of fenced them with the fencing that you normally put when there's a leak in the drains or something.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
outside as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
that sort of fencing.
The barriers.
And they took them down after the Saturday, but it was a start and it was a gesture. And hopefully next year we'll see a proper gazebo, you know.
That would be nice.
Well, because of the traders. I mean, you look, you know, it's. I don't know exactly how Ramadan goes, but you know, I think praying 5 times a day takes on a bit more significance.
During the
And we don't
month,
want
yeah.
Bolting from their stalls 5 times a day, not about as customers.
True.
So a nice gazebo, so they don't have to leg it into the mosque, would suit everyone, I think.
I think they've already got a purpose-built place for them. It's called an office. They just got to get rid of the management out there on that time, prayer time.
You would
And
think they
you
should
would-
be
you-
able to use the market
It's a
office. I
warm-
mean,
it's
it's
a warm, protected.
they're
clean
traders,
space.
they're hard grafters, and you
I
would
mean,
think
it's-
that like
it's
whether they want to take time out of their day just to
2025.
center themselves and ground themselves, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And who loses when like we take that away from them? What is
Yeah.
the point of making it just hard for them to
It's
get on with it?
2025, you know, we should have moved. We should have been accommodating. We should have been sorting things out. We should be keeping people productive, keep moving, keep them spiritually enlightened, spiritually energized. You can only get that if you work with people.
We'll be ready to support the traders in this one in 2026.
Yeah, that would be nice. A gazebo or any other just like, you know, compartment for any religion, any time of the year would be great.
We could do management eviction. We could do that.
I mean,
send a few dozen pigeons in there.
Any more good news, Pauline?
Sorry.
Yes. Well, we hope it's good news. We're going to meet the head of regeneration, a few people from Fred's and Queen's Market. Hopefully.
Are we allowed to say the name of the council officer?
I don't think so. I think they're very shy. They are incredibly shy. In actual fact, we think we know who one of them is, but she hasn't identified herself by
yeah,
name.
no, fair enough. Let's not judge a book by its
it will
cover
be a
or
chance
council.
to ask what on earth is going on? Because you look at the Co-Create site and it says there's an internal review of the two options. Remember, housing, option 1 housing, option 2 even more housing. There's an internal review going on. And that's what they say. You know, they're preparing a paper, and then they say, "Don't worry, we will come back and engage with the public." But there's no indication of a time scale. So we really don't know what's going on. How long is this going to take?
These are basic contractual obligations as well, like for like projects this big.
Yeah, it's on.
Tell us what the process
It's on
is.
a website called Co-Create. So we are meant to be part of the business. We're meant to be co-creating with the council.
I need to add a feature on there.
Yeah, they're not very good in co-creating with it
But they have
themselves.
agreed to meet us, so that's okay. We're waiting for the return email, so let's hope it comes soon.
Right.
Confirming.
So this week I was editing my film again, just adding some credits onto it and stuff. And it had me thinking about third spaces. So let's get into it. For those tuning in, what exactly is a third space? So a third space is like the living room
Before tuning, your film. Can we just have a little bit more about your film? Because we've been waiting for that to come out.
Okay, well, my film is about Newham. It's about Queen's Market. It's about what we lose when a community can't come together. It showcases all of you coming together, and it just shows how fighting for the market has built friendships, and the friendships that we'll lose in Newham if you know, gentrification really, really takes hold. So as I was editing, and I'm thinking of expanding it out onto third spaces now. So third spaces is like a living room of the city. They're the spaces where you exist without having to spend money or justify being there. So obviously you can spend money. So it could be like your local pub. Obviously you can go in there and get a pint or something. Or it can be like your library where you can obviously rent books for free. Or, as we all know, the market where you can like have a chat with your butcher, even if you've just gone down there to buy tomatoes. So the Queen's Market is a brilliant, brilliant third space. And when these spaces disappear, so does our community. So your only options become home or hustle. So I wanted to get into that a bit more. Like, what do you guys think about it in terms of, because I feel like you guys have probably seen the change in third spaces, because I see it so much in the news, people complaining about pubs closing down, us talking about the market, libraries being overworked and underfunded. First thoughts. So do you think third spaces have changed?
I think
No, you go. I'll come after you. I'll polish up my thoughts.
Yeah,
the roles first.
To me, third space or place really became more prevalent in my view was when COVID was around.
Right.
Because you was confined to your house.
That's so true.
And even when you went out into our so-called third space, we were told that we couldn't be there.
We couldn't connect.
So we could be in a space, but we don't have to talk to each other. It's just having another human being in that electrical space that we make contact that way. Just a simple glance of another human being is what, you know. So that was denied to us.
I think you were
Yeah.
allowed to talk to people if you were 2 meters away.
Yeah, we appreciate it a lot more post COVID. You're right, though. It really made me. I know I hadn't thought about it before that either. So
Accidental touches, accidental, you know, bumps in it. Oh, it's a contact. We're designed for that.
I don't want to be permanently social distancing.
Well, when you think about it, people who lived in flats, they suffered the greatest.
Yeah, because they were. I spoke to a lot of friends that were isolated during that time, quite like severely isolated.
I mean, they reckon the sale of flats are not holding their price no more, but yet the houses are. Why? Because it gives them a third space in the garden. It gives them a third space, maybe just in the front garden. But it gives them a space they could get away from the family, the kids, or whoever they want. You know, some people, you know, some people like me would sit in a shed somewhere, you know. But you know, it's a space.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Because I was only thinking about eternal third spaces, but it's the greenery, it's nature, it's being outside. Pauline,
I think yes. You'll see the third space really in operation at the Sunday market.
yes,
Because yes, don't forget our building trade workers work 5.5 days a week. And some of them are not very well paid at all.
No.
Eastern European people being taken advantage of. So Sundays they can go to the market and very often they'll just stand there and chat.
hanging about.
Yeah, and you could see, you know, 6, 8 of them, you know, having a good old natter, a laugh and a joke.
A smoke
they'll
and a
do
coffee.
some shopping as well. And it's just a great space for them. And it's good for us because it keeps the market lively, you know, gives us confidence.
No, it's nice. That's what living in London is all about, you know. We're not.
Post-COVID, that market recovered. And it recovered with a vengeance because people needed to get out. They need to be in that space with other people who wanted to be in that space. So the market recovered more. It was whether it was a market, it was a space.
Yeah, it was a magnet. People were instantly drawn to it when they were allowed to be there again.
But the added thing is, it was a magnet that had colour in there, had texture in there, had smells, languages, you name it, had everything in there. So they got the best. Whoever went in there after post-COVID got the full blast of it because they were just confined to their small little world, and that's what the government put us through. That's why the market recovered faster than any corporate market, you know, retail
Space.
Even the high streets. The market recovered, and it's because of that. So it proved how important space was.
Public space.
Space. It proved it, and it doesn't need any more improvement than that.
Yeah, well, the market kept going through COVID.
Yeah.
Because people were allowed to buy food. But we had a fight with the council. They tried to argue that the guy who sells nuts and olives wasn't selling food.
Food, yeah.
That's not
Mad,
food.
mad.
But we
Mad.
managed to win that argument.
It's not food, nuts.
Technicalities, schmechnicalities.
Typical council bureaucracy.
But
isn't
yeah,
it?
third
Nuts aren't
spaces.
food. Come
Well,
on.
how can
Tell the
nuts,
squirrels.
dried fruit, dates, olives not be food? What is it if it's not food? What is it? What do you do with it when you go home? Throw it in the garden.
Feed the squirrels.
And that brings me on to pubs, because pubs are shutting down left and right. Just all over the country, pubs are shutting down. And nightlife in general, nightlife venues, anywhere where people socialize. Why do you think they're siloing us off from each other? Obviously, it's not intentional, but it is kind of gradually becoming where people are more isolated.
Yeah.
People are in their new build, box flats, not really having the connection, because obviously, as we know, like fighting for the market, these spaces are being eroded on.
Well,
Yeah.
Do you think it's changed since the first time you went to the market?
I think so, and I think there's the only social spaces now are controlled. You know, libraries are still in Newham, although a lot of other boroughs they closed them down. But the activities, some of them are very good, but they're all organised. Now, community centres, the few that are left, they control what goes on by price. You know? I mean, little organisations like ours used to be able to have every meeting in a community centre, but we would have to fork out about 60 to £100 fee. You know, you can't do it.
They've all gone now as well.
They've all gone, yeah.
And even the just to say that even around community centres where there is sometimes basketball courts or football, now they're charging people to even just use the court. So it's constant. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no. I think this is.
But that space, this third place, is somewhere where money doesn't really is not an issue.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to.
It's not a transactional space, and all the time it's just a space. It could be anything you want it to be, but it's a space that people can get away. It's a space in between the commercial, and it's but it's a space. It's a safe space. And the thing is, if we, a market, you could get everything in the market, because you could sit in a space there on your own, or you could sit in a space and watch life go by you.
People
played in front of you. I do that. People watch.
Yeah, no, me too.
I get a chair, coffee, and I watch everything go by me. And you know what? It's a moving picture of cultures, languages, you name it, and everything else. That is a space that you're not going to get. Once it's gone,
it's gone forever.
You cannot recreate something that's taken 100 years.
A century,
to
yeah. No, the market's 129 years old. And when we look at high streets as well, what usually happens is high streets do come in, replace these places where we can just meander around and dozy around a bit. And then as we can see all around the UK, what's happening to high streets? They're not surviving either.
No.
So we're getting rid of these places where obviously maybe I could buy a coffee, but Sant, if you came down and sat on the table, no one's going to bother you.
No.
So we're getting rid of these places where people can connect, meet each other, for a system that we're seeing is failing all around the country anyway.
Yeah. But the thing is, we're gradually building on places like this, and we're gradually narrowing down these spaces. And what it is, they're
building on everything.
They're building everything, and what it does is it will create, and it is already creating social issues, mental issues. It's creating crises. And the thing is, you cannot they've not yet learned, the governments, to put a budget on it.
Right.
The so-called, these new revolutionary planners are trying to work their way through that.
Mm-hmm.
They know that things like markets are very, very, very important. I mean, we went to the UCL, and some of the young planners were positive, but they can be dissuaded by money or anything else, like anybody else.
Who they're working for.
Who they're working for, what they're...
Building isn't bad. It's just when we're building without the intention of the community, right?
Well, if you haven't got the community with you, then who are you doing it for?
Exactly.
You cannot keep banging on this thing about flats and houses. We need housing. We've got 200 and something thousand families and 180 something thousand children living in temporary accommodation.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that we've had
bed and breakfast, one room, whole families?
Exactly. And we've had the mass explosion in the developed world, America, here, Europe, of new builds.
Yeah. No one can afford them, though.
Nobody can afford. So who are they for?
Yeah, they're investment opportunities.
International investors.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's
or some
definitely
might say money
with...
launderers.
Yeah, that's it. Somebody said to me, look, they're building on every corner of Newham.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look at night, you see cranes, the little red lights glowing.
Yeah.
But 37,000 on Newham's housing list. 36,000, sorry.
Yeah.
So who's going into the flats? Not the homeless, obviously.
Yeah, it's ironic.
People on the list.
I mean, I'll give you one example, people. Behind my house, there's a graveyard, a cemetery. And the developers have been fighting for years to build houses in there. And eventually they won in a small way. They wanted a big part of the graveyard, but they put, I think, 13 houses in the graveyard. and they've all got their private parking, charging points
Spooky.
because they're meant to be green.
My initial, I got like shivers. My initial is spooky.
But that just puts another point on it, that this so-called third place or space, there are two different types. There's one for the wealthy and one for the poor.
Which is sad because we used to live alongside each other.
Yeah, the wealthy have a gated community now. So
yeah, that's true.
It's very American, isn't it? It's very American.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's very American because they want to control the environment in there.
Yeah.
Who goes in there? So you've got that. They'll have their pools, swimming pools, their gyms, their what have you. They'll have their space. Sometimes they'll have studios in there. They have their space. And yet the poor will have to have a swimming pool, or they might get a leisure centre, whatever it is, at a price. And not that it's at a price, it's diminishing the availability of them. So people can't use them. So we've got that issue with the so-called space. It's not equally divided.
No.
There isn't this, equality between.
No, it goes up and down the spectrum because let's get on to something that actually boils my blood, which is hostile architecture. So it's when we're talking about building isn't bad, but this is what I would call bad building. So it's when things are built so it's like benches with armrests so that people can't lie down. Spikes under bridges. So
that's spiteful, that is.
Yeah, so homeless people can't stay there. Music blaring in train stations, so God forbid they get a nap. And obviously, like, it's not nice seeing homeless people obviously sleeping on the street and seeing like crime going on. Like, no one wants that, obviously. But there is something spiteful about making it not just impossible for people like us, but anyone across the spectrum to use public space at all.
But isn't that a lot of that come from self-guilt, really? That we don't want to see how the other side lives.
That is so true.
So when we come out of our offices,
they're gating off from us and we're gating off from hostile architecture.
Yes, that's right. So they use architecture, right? And they make it so nice, but you can't sit and you slide off.
Yeah.
So they took the spikes away, but they make it so you slide off.
A curved bench.
I think the funniest thing was it down in Aldgate where they had a housing development where the developer built their handful of social rent homes, the usual 6%. They had two doors, which were generally known locally as the rich door and the poor door. If you were in the social rent home, you had another door.
Yeah.
At the back.
God bless the anarchists, because they all turned up and demonstrated like crazy outside the rich door. And I think the developer might have pulled back on that one. But that's the ultimate, I think. One example of hostile architecture, anyway.
It's the antithesis to everything that I love about London, because London's got 1,001 problems right now, if we're being honest. But one thing that I do like is that the rich and the poor have always kind of lived like alongside each other. Like, you can literally live in a mansion, opposite you, council flats. I've always kind of thought that it forces us all into like out of our echo chambers, because I've been around places where it's not like that, and their views reflect that too.
Well, I've been to Hampstead, I've worked around that area, and I'll tell you something, people in there who are elderly living in million pound houses. Do you know they don't value it like that? Because they still go to
exactly
shops, but they still want to have a chat with somebody who's living in a council place.
Yeah, we've always been a little bit more in community with each other.
What's happened is this aggressive occupation of land, this aggressive push of capitalist money that's coming from abroad, has no conscience, has no emotion, no feeling, no nothing. And it will roller coaster its way through the land, just eating and digesting everything up. It has no conscience. All it wants to do is consume. And the problem is with that, it will take people with it. And the thing is, we would have to pay for that. We will have to pay for that somehow, whether it's through our hospitals, our other places. We are struggling with mental issues now.
No, we do pay for it socially. Like, even if you look at how, political parties are becoming more popular and how people are more divided more than ever, we're blaming the poor, like asylum seekers, people here, when really I mean, there are people from abroad that are taking advantage of our country, but it's just not the ones you think.
No.
Yeah.
But I like this third space idea.
Mhm.
I mean, when we had it all 15 years ago, we were still fighting for the market. Along came the sociologists and told us the market was a social space.
It
We
is.
never
Yeah.
looked at it
Yeah.
like that, you know.
It's
And that
definitely a
was
social
really
space.
big argument, and I think this is brilliant what you've said, Khadija, because we got to get this message out to everyone. Another reason to keep the market, good cheap grub. That's I'd say is number one.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the third space, all
It
the places
is.
we can get together.
It's an important third space, and it's also just, it's like we always talk about it, it's a cultural legacy. It's 129 years old. People go there. It's been used consistently throughout various generations of people, and I think the new trend of trying to like control how people exist in public doesn't really work in a place like Newham. Like, we know how to come together, but we don't like to be controlled.
No. Especially the old stock. They don't like to be controlled for sure.
Well, neither do I. I feel like it's,
Well, we're
you know, it's
hoping-
in there, but that's why I like places like
we
Queen's
want people that want to be
Market,
controlled, you know.
because, you know, you don't have to spend money to feel welcome there.
The thing is, Chair, we've got a problem all over London. Some of the biggest markets, the Billingsgate, the Shepherd's Bush, the Spitalfield,
Ridley
Road. I mean, how far do they have to go? How many buildings do they want to build that are not serving the people?
Yeah.
You know, what are they trying to do? Just create London as an oasis of rich people, which is how it's going. That's why they seem to be making London bigger, so they can push people out.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if they're making it bigger because they're driving ordinary working class people, especially if you've got children, out because it's so expensive.
And it's ironic because in about 10,
So
20...
who's going to do all this work like cleaning, driving
30
buses,
years.
driving
That's
the
a
trains?
that's a good
You
thing.
know
I'm
it.
of the opinion, though,
You
that
can't
like...
afford to live here.
Schools are dictated by how many children.
Yeah, and there is a lack
because
of...
of the cost of living.
Yep.
The children, you know, they're just not being.
High numbers of homelessness as well. But I have a feeling that where there's vibrant culture, people always follow. So even though they're going to push, you know, iconic Londoners to the outskirts, guess where they'll gentrify next?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
We'll
You
just keep
know.
going. But the thing is, what are they going to do?
I like
Sorry,
this
yeah,
argument,
Pauline.
Because what we're really saying is a vibrant market is something that keeps down
Yes.
the cost of living in Newham.
It
That's
does.
It
what
does.
Yeah, it
Because
does.
the alternative, I could see people, if people get pushed too far out, it'll be like it used to be for black people in South Africa. Perhaps it still is, hopefully to a lesser extent, a 2-hour journey to your work.
Yeah,
that's
and a
right.
2-hour journey back.
Yeah.
You know.
I could definitely see that being a thing, kind of that that Parisian circumference where the further out you get, sometimes the poorer it gets, which has never been like that. And it will lose, like London will lose all the flavor that makes people move here. So it's ironic, really, that people, you know, like are trying to change the fabric of the city into something that they'll eventually want to escape themselves when we become some kind of glorified Singapore. But back to the market. In terms of the third space, like being at the market and Queen's Market, what do you feel like people can do to support their third spaces? Because for us, it's Queen's Market, but regardless of where you are, like in the city, would you say, because I would start with shop there, go down there. But even if you can't afford to shop there that week or that day, go down there.
Occupy.
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 How?
Be there.
Be there.
Be
Is
there.
one thing,
Be
Own the
there.
space.
But also, of course, support Friends of Queen's Market because the worm's got to turn, and the worm is turning in a few other places. Not in a big way, but we're trying to turn the worm.
You can't knock a market down. You can't demolish a market. Put a block of concrete above it, and then say the market's it will still carry on.
No.
That legacy that's been built up is broken.
Yeah, you don't just lose places, you lose the people, and the people are the heart
Where did they
of the
go?
market. Yeah.
The whole concept, I said to the mayor once, the whole concept of market is this constant attachment to it. It's passed on. New people come in,
through the
take it on
generations.
and
It's
take it on.
true. Yeah.
And I said, once these things are built, the cost of renting space is going to go through the roof.
So you feel like the younger generation needs to take the beacon on as well.
They need to hold ground.
Change how we shop. Change how we consume.
Change it. I mean, could I mention gating?
That's a whole other story.
I was just going to say, Khadija, me and Sam spoke to someone the other day, and he's trying to get a stall at a stall at the market, and for some reason they won't give him fruit and veg stall.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he's younger.
And they're trying to keep.
So maybe it's be innovative as well. Like,
you know who it is.
Oh, it's somebody who's already got other stalls.
Trying to get a stall.
That's the problem. I can.
But it's also just the unspoken like belonging that we all feel when we're at places like Queen's Market, whether you're in Queen's Pub at the market or just meandering around because you don't drink. It's the unspoken belonging that you feel when you're there. And then places disappearing and being like, well, where do I belong? Becoming a thing like in my lifetime has been very weird.
What's the question? What is belonging? When you say belonging, what do we mean by belonging?
I feel like as someone brought up here, obviously Revive, born and bred, Newham, baby, belonging to me feels like I'm around people with loads of different opinions because my internal family is like that. And then my also external community is like that. So that's what, as soon as I'm in a room and everyone agrees and everyone thinks the same thing, I get nervous. Like I'm like, oh.
Isn't that to me belonging from somebody who wasn't born in the country?
Yeah.
Is when I go around the streets, I recognize a building.
Oh, okay.
I recognize it and I recognize a road.
So the anchor points, Queen's Market being one of them. Yeah.
So when that building goes, I stare at it because what happened when the other buildings were there, they were lower. I would notice when I'm there, it's darker. It feels like there's not enough light. A bit like the lighting in the market. It's just not enough. So no wonder we're all suffering from lack of vitamin D, all right, and ended up going to hospital with some sort of mental issues.
It's not seasonal, it's structural.
It's true. It's structural.
Something I missed on the update. The council's promised to start trialling new lighting in the market
on
the 11th of March. So
11th of March. Okay.
Watch that space, folks. Yes.
I was going to say, but I thought we'll move on from that. Okay.
Nice.
The darkness is going to be lifted then.
Well, hopefully it lights up soon. I mean, that feels like also a great place to end. I feel like my advice is to anyone younger, start thinking of innovative ideas of the way you can get involved with the market, because they might say no to your fruit and veg stall, but you should be in there. It's your community. You should be part of it. You know, get a library card, go to your local pub, use the third spaces before they, you know, are threatened and under threat, because, you know, Friends of Queen's Market can only do so many things.
Own the space. You know,
own the space.
Let them be counted.
Yeah.
If they want a reason and they need a reason, instead of doing stupidness, they could go there and say, we want to have a stall of, we want to create our own business. We want to create entrepreneurial things. I've got an idea. I want to go to the market. The council should be providing free space in the market.
A record
Remember
store would be
that
great
that
at the
public
market.
space is your space to
It's your
own.
space.
But yeah, no.
The children can hang out there. They'll be there.
She's trying to have a break.
Sorry.
Oh, is it break
No,
time?
we're actually off now. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights. We just kind of carried on talking, which is good because we were all just getting into it.
Yeah.
It's always inspiring to hear how much love and dedication you guys have for Newham and Queen's Market. Hopefully my generation can pull our, you know, fingers out our ears a bit and get it going. So tune in and keep fighting the good fight. Whee!
Hey Sainsbury's, how can I ace iftar after work?
We've got savings on all the staples, like Tahira Kudri dates for breaking your fast, down from £3.50 to £2.50 with Nectar. Plus, grab a 5-kilo bag of East End Chuckiata flour, usually £10.75, now £6.75 with Nectar.
At this rate, I'll invite the neighbours too.
For big savings this Ramadan, ask Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's, good food for all of us.
Nectar required, 18 plus, subject to availability in selected stores and online. Excludes locals, ends 30th of March.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile
And online.
अग्नि के बगैर जिंदगी का तसव्वुर नामुमकिन है.
Hello, Uncle G.
Taking your
Auntie G.
bra
how
at
are
the
you?
end of the day feels great.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look inside.
This is
Revive FM
94.0. With the latest news from around the world. This is Revive FM 94.0.
The views expressed on this